Benvenuti anche ai nostri graditi relatori, che ringrazio per aver accettato il nostro invito a confrontarci in questa anteprima di After Festival, l'evoluzione visibile agli occhi. Ricordo che l'intera iniziativa può essere seguita sia in italiano che in inglese grazie al servizio di traduzione simultanea. After è promosso da Lepida e Regione Emilia-Romagna e nasce con gli obiettivi di approfondire il rapporto tra tecnologia e amministrazione pubblica, di interrogarci su come le tecnologie impattano nella nostra quotidianità e come incidono nell'organizzazione delle città. Il festival è giunto alla sua quarta edizione e dopo Modena, Reggio Emilia e Bologna sarà la volta di Ravenna nella primavera del 2021, con un focus specifico sul turismo. Qui alle mie spalle vedete l'immagine guida di questo after e abbiamo voluto mettere gli Oculus a un mezzo busto di Dante, un po' a rappresentare l'identità e la storicità del nostro territorio, quel sapere unico di una comunità che evolve nei secoli, la diversità di ogni e in ogni destinazione con i fattori chiave per la riconoscibilità di una destinazione stessa che accetta la sfida di un turismo sempre più internazionale, competitivo e ricco di proposte, ma dove ogni realtà, ancorché piccola, può essere esaltata dalle interconnessioni che offre la globalizzazione. Come proiettare tutto questo valore per il prossimo futuro, soprattutto dopo l'emergenza sanitaria che ha stravolto l'agenda politica dei governi e cancellato i programmi di molte imprese? Da questi mesi però possiamo ricevere anche alcune indicazioni importanti che vorremmo analizzare oggi. In particolare la forte spinta al digitale. Nelle pratiche quotidiane sono aumentate le competenze medie delle persone e ce ne siamo resi conto tutti quanti. Ci siamo dovuti misurare non solo con acquisti online, ma con videoconferenze, documenti condivisi in cloud, login per piattaforme streaming, prenotazioni, crowdfunding e soprattutto un maggiore utilizzo di tecnologie già disponibili come QR code, realtà aumentata e realtà virtuale. Questo ha riguardato anche le istituzioni pubbliche, in particolare chi opera nei settori della cultura e del turismo, che si sono dovute misurare con virtual tour da modernizzare, streaming e rimodulazioni di molte attività, rispettando le misure sanitarie che ci hanno portato ad adottare in maniera stabile queste tecnologie. Dovremmo essere pronti ad affrontare queste sfide con la consapevolezza che l'uso delle tecnologie e del digitale non ha come obiettivo la sostituzione della materialità, bensì il miglioramento della fruizione e l'aumento dell'esperienza di chi ne fruisce. Dal lato dei futuri viaggiatori abbiamo già potuto osservare che velocemente le loro aspettative sono evolute, sono cambiate sotto diversi aspetti e con esse mutano velocemente anche le motivazioni di viaggio ed evolvono i comportamenti d'acquisto. Sarà quindi importante darsi un metodo di lavoro che ora più di prima non potrà prescindere da una seria analisi dei dati per ricavarne informazioni utili a migliorare la programmazione e progettazione delle destinazioni e il superamento dei nostri confini per creare collaborazioni internazionali tra destinazioni come quelle che ci offrono enti sovranazionali come l'Organizzazione Mondiale del Turismo, l'UNWTO, e istituzioni come l'Unione Europea, anche grazie a network come l'UTC.
Also thanks to networks such as European Festival of Smart Tourism. In order to speak about all of this, we will start from the interventions and the greetings of our institution representatives, whom I will introduce soon. During the second session, we will speak about the analysis of data through the help of experts in the field who will offer us a global overview. Now, we will speak about the tourist promotion of Emilia-Romagna, and during the third session, moderated by Tom Hall, a senior journalist for Lonely Planet, we will hear listen to the experience of European cities, those who have had to work in order to change the activities of their area during the year 2020. Now, this year, our city and our region has received an international recognition with the inclusion of within the Lonely Planet Guide. 30 travel destinations are suggested by this guide, and um, during this year, next year, 2021, we will also celebrate the birth of Dante Alighieri, and for this occasion, I would like to show you the video to celebrate Best in Travel, also thanks to the collaboration of Stefano Corsi.
Questo è il tempo della lentezza, un tempo fatto di attese, di ore dilatate, di piccole cose. Ed è il tempo del rispetto per gli altri, per la natura, per il nostro pianeta. Ecco perché oggi questo riconoscimento è ancora più importante. Lonely Planet, la guida turistica più famosa al mondo, inserisce tra le 30 destinazioni da non perdere per il 2021 un'unica realtà italiana, le vie di Dante. Il percorso fra la Toscana e l'Emilia-Romagna che fece il grande poeta durante il suo esilio. Luoghi scelti non solo per la loro bellezza. Le vie di Dante vengono inserite nella categoria sostenibilità, come esempio di turismo slow. Un itinerario da percorrere con lentezza, a piedi, in bicicletta o in treno. A contatto con la natura, riscoprendo tradizioni e sapori fra piccoli borghi e antichi palazzi, pievi romaniche e botteghe artigiane. Come accolsero Dante più di 700 anni fa, queste strade saranno lì ad accogliere anche noi, quando usciremo a rivedere le stelle.
Today's initiative, as I said during the opening, is a preview during which we will try and capture the ideas of our speakers, also thanks to the support of a company specialized in graphic facilitization, which will draw the map of the event, which will be shared at the end of proceedings. Now, this map will be at the basis of the festival that will take place next spring in Ravenna, and hopefully we will be able to see it live. Now, for those who are following the proceedings, I would like to remind you that you can ask questions to our speakers group chat, and I would also like to remind you that a simultaneous interpreting service is available from English into Italian and from Italian into English. Now, I would like to introduce our first speaker to you, our Councillor Paola Salomoni. So, Councillor, the Councillor to the Digital Agenda, University and Research. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Ms. Salomoni. But I can call you Paola since we know each other. Now, thank you for your hospitality. Now, I'm speaking from the Regents building, which is way less beautiful than the municipality building. Now, today is a step of the process that is called after. Now, the goal behind this event is to share some moments together, awaiting the opportunity to meet each other in person very soon and look for solutions together. And this is also a stage of a process that has already crossed the Great part of the region, and also aimed at covering the entire region. Now, when it comes to the digital agenda of Emilia-Romagna, now this is a program of the council and the region which has a very broad goal of supporting this phenomenon which is called digital transformation. Now, not only through the public administration, but also through society as a whole. We are about to publish a new digital agenda, and the new agenda will follow after, and it will try to broaden its horizons, becoming a transversal instrument, an instrument that can contain all the policies that have an impact on the digital world or that use technology in a transversal fashion. So there is a focus on tourism, but there is also a focus on a political framework. For instance, culture. Culture is another strong point. We have already discussed it. Agriculture is another element. Now, agriculture plays a very important role in this region, as does the entire development system. Now, the idea underlying our new program is that of entering the lives of citizens through this set of new technologies based on data availability, transforming them over the next few years in instruments and options that are available to everybody. So not only a means for research and innovation, but also as a societal fabric that will have to be permeated by digital technologies. Public policies will benefit from digital technologies, so that all decisions, political decisions, can be digital. And digital technology can also support medicine and education. The pandemic has violently taught us the importance of these technologies in order for us to exercise our daily rights, the right to work, the right to health, and so on and so forth. So, through the new agenda, we will do our best in order to render digital technologies available to the entire population. And I can assure you that this goal will entail actions carried out by my colleagues. Now, I don't want to waste too much of your time. I believe that what matters in a process is being able to work, and hopefully we will meet each other during the next phase. And again, the agenda is a participatory instrument, so please keep in mind that there is always a way to interact with us and work together with us in order to decide what the next phase and the next destination will be. We will be there in order to embark upon this path together. So thank you, Paolo Solomoni, Councillor Paolo Solomoni. And now I will have to read a letter by another councillor of Emilia-Romagna, Andrea Corsini. He is a councillor for tourism, commerce, mobility. And the councillor has sent us a letter because he has just become a father once again. So we are going to let him enjoy the company of his family, but we're going to read his letter. And the letter reads: the history of tourism in our region testifies to its vocation. Now, being able to go digital has become fundamental in order for us to keep competitive. Holidays increasingly require technologies such as smartphones, tablets, and so on in order to be fully enjoyed. Now, COVID-19 has revolutionized our lives, and our region is among the first in Italy for smartness levels, and our goal is to make our tourist offer ever more digital, without forgetting the human component and that the occasion to hospitality that has always characterized us. Now, today we're going to look at the future, and despite the uncertainty that the future holds, and our region has responded well to the problems of this period, and it has shown its ability to create networks. So I wish the proceedings every success, I wish after every success, and I wish all the protagonists of this event every success. Once again, I would like to thank our councillors, Paolo Salomoni and Andrea Corsini, for their introductory speeches. Now I'm about to introduce our next speakers, starting from Alessandra Briante, who is the European Director of the UNWTO. Hello everybody, my name is Alessandra Briante, the European Director of the UNWTO, which is the United Nations agency specialized in world tourism, and especially the promotion of sustainable, responsible, and universally accessible tourism. For me, it is a pleasure to be here during the preview of After Festival, which hopefully will take place in Ravenna. Now, this festival, which is promoted by the Emilia-Romagna region and especially by the municipality of Ravenna, is very interesting, especially because it focuses on tourism and especially new digital technologies. Now, I have spoken with Giacomo, and I would like to share a few inputs deriving from my daily activity, and which can also provide us with food for thought in order for us to be able to better face the challenges of the future. I would like to say, to describe the way that technology can serve as a leader for the future. First and foremost, the first thing that the UNWTO does is studying data. COVID-19 has faced us with a shocking reality. In this context, with the closing of all borders and with the end of international mobility, there has been a huge transformation in society, and the number of tourists, incoming tourists, has decreased by 80%, and this means that a lot of time will be required in order to recover from this. Now, I would like to share a presentation with you. I will do it through Zoom, and there is data that I would like to share with you. Now, this data is available on our website, unwto.org, and this data shows you that we have been monitoring the situation. Now, we are running the risk of losing hundreds of thousands of jobs, and we run the risk of losing 910 billion to 1.2 trillion US dollars, and natural resources, and many other things. Now, the curve of tourism is quite normal, as you can see in the other years, but this year it has been the opposite. Indeed, the situation is dramatic because we are experiencing the second wave. We are basically a semi-lockdown has been introduced. There is a traffic light system that tells us where we can and cannot go, and ski resorts are being told to remain closed, and this is going to be a huge problem. Of course, this situation has prompted us to do way more than usual, and so we have decided to to collaborate with the Global Tourism Crisis Committee and all the private sectors in all member states in order to understand what is to be done. We are discussing with them in order to understand what solutions could be adopted. We have analyzed and realized a series of instruments that hopefully will prove useful in order to monitor the situation. These are dashboards. And if I may, this is just one example of what a United Nations agency can do. But the most interesting part will be when we see each other in Ravenna and we speak about the potential that innovation and digital transformation can generate for our future. So why am I sharing data? I believe in the importance of knowing where we are, and awareness is very important, and tourism is the only positive strength that can relaunch our economy, both locally and the world. Thank you, Ravenna, thank you, Giacomo, and thank to all the participants. This is what we were saying earlier. Now, thank you, Alessandra Pianta, for her speech and for ideas, and she has focused on data. Now, the UNWTO has the opportunity of providing us with a global view on the tourism sector, and since it belongs to the UN, it's part of a network that includes other UN departments. So the data that can be made available is an instrument, a useful instrument for anybody who in the field of tourism wants to plan ahead. Now, on top of data and information, there is another factor, namely the ability to build relationships on an international level, and so the ability to create new ideas for trips, and also the ability to create new paths and new opportunities for those who are to choose a destination over another, or maybe even discuss the best practices that are implemented by various cities. And that is where the European Network of Smart Tourism offers many possibilities. And now, on the website, there is a summary of all the things we have just discussed, and the 20 selected cities have shared their best practices. Now, this was the content of the greetings of Ismail Ulevi, who unfortunately will not be able to be with us, and that is a shame. His introductory speech was going to be very beautiful, and he was going to wish the very success, and he said that he looked forward to seeing us in March. So, now I would like to move on to the video before leaving the floor to Silvia Matta and the second panel of this day.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno, ben ritrovati. Io sono appunto Silvia Mazza e lavoro per il Dipartimento Marketing e Promozione di APT Servizi, ovvero l'azienda di promozione turistica dell'Emilia Romagna. E ho l'onore e il piacere di presentare la prossima sessione di lavori e introdurre i prossimi relatori.
Good morning, my name is Silvia Mazza and I work for the Tourist Promotion Agency of Emilia Romagna. And first and foremost, I would like to remind you that you can follow the event on the page of the event and also on the Facebook page of the event. Now, let us move on to the session, which will focus on data and the concept of sustainable tourism. Now, we have 4 exceptional speakers whom I would like to introduce before giving the floor to the first of them. We will begin with Tom Hall, who's a journalist and senior leader on the Lonely Planet Tourist Guide. Then we will move on to Maria Elena Rossi, the Marketing and Promotion Director of ENIT, the Italian body for tourism. And then we will move on to Francesca Benati, who's the General Director for Amadeus and the Vice President of the West Europe, Middle East and West Africa travel agencies. And then finally, Francesco Tapinassi, who is the Scientific Director of Tourism Align and the Director of the Tourism Service for Tuscany. So, this will be a global overview from data to sustainable development. So let us begin with Tom Hall from Lonely Planet. Tom, the question is, how has Lonely Planet revolutionized the way of improving the situation of the best destinations, and how has the guide been experiencing this pandemic?
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you. So the first thing to say is that Lonely Planet's Best in Travel is very different this year to previous years. Generally, we seek to recognize the best destinations, journeys, and experiences across countries, cities, and regions. So we have 3 different lists. This year is not a normal year. So when we were looking forward to 2021, we could not come up with the same list that we normally do. What we decided to do instead was to look at some of the key trends in travel. And we view these really as being in 3 buckets: community, sustainability, and diversity. And that's not just across destinations, but it is across people and projects. So there are these 3 categories, and within them we seek to recognize everything from individual storytellers, blog influencers, to community-based tourism projects, to cities and countries that are really offering something distinct within these categories. We're quite excited by it. It's certainly got a good response, and we're looking forward to hearing more about what people think about it as we get into New Year, hopefully the year of recovery. Okay, so
okay, I think that
I'm done answering your question.
The period is difficult, and I would like to move on to Maria Elena Rossi as the marketing director of ENIT, and I would like to ask to her, how has the tourism sector changed, both at a national and an international level? Well, first and foremost, thank you for inviting me. Now, speeches that have preceded mine have been very interesting, and indeed this year has been incredible, and it has faced us with new challenges, and the post-COVID effects will lead us to a couple years of setback. We have already looked at the data. I'm not going to look at it again. We don't need it to understand the effects of the global pandemic. But I would like to say something on 2021. That 2021 will be very similar to 2020 when it comes to tourism. 2019 was a record year for Italy with 430 million overnight stays. And so with a 16% growth compared to the previous year, and that growth was constant as well. Now, the sudden stop in tourism has now led to an 80% decrease in tourism, and the prospects for 2021 are very similar to this year. Now, I'm saying this because this may have been the very first change we have experienced, namely the need to look at products, experiences with new eyes. Many destinations who were reliant on international tourism have had to change their strategies, and this will remain true for 2021 as well. First and foremost, because now if we look at the data data on international flights, the capacity will be 30% compared to 2019. So the data is clear when it comes to 2021 and when it comes to 2022, and the situation will indeed improve, but it will take us up to 2024 in order for things to go back to normal. So now these people will travel within a range of 1,000 kilometers, and so the most tourists will come to Italy will come from the rest of Europe, and they will move by car. And this trend will remain the same also in the future. Now here you see some of the projections we have made over the months, and we have opened a page that is uploaded every month, and if you access the website you will be able to see it. And this page has been opened in order to showcase what is going on also with regard to our competitors, namely France and Spain. So European proximity tourism is one of the most important elements of this overview, and UK tourism is very important for Italy. In 2019, UK people amounted to 19 million overnight stays, and now this market will have to be observed carefully in the next year. This year it has achieved very good results. This corridor has remained open, more open compared to other markets. Now, when it comes to extra-European markets, here you see other data, and here we can expect a recovery in volumes starting from 2022, since the Canadian and the US and the Brazilian, Australian, Chinese markets will open up again. These markets will catch up very slowly with Europe. So this is also an opportunity for rethinking tourism. We will have to re-evaluate our local products, our traditions, our local products. These products have a huge value for the territory because they are really appreciated in international market. They are a sign of sustainability and responsibility, and there can be no sustainability without responsibility. And we have often forgotten to take care of the planet. So this authenticity and this enhancement of traditions and values can really add value once the tourist flows will begin flowing again. This is what I would focus on. Now, since we are in a digital context, technology has a fundamental role to play. But technology is driven by people and differently from other industries. We sell experiences with people. So digital technology are a means to understand, to understand things, to better satisfy our customers, both during and after the customer journey. But I believe that the human factor is still central. Thank you, Maria Elena Rossi, for your data. Now, the data is not comforting, but we knew it. We know what the current situation is like, and we also know what the next future holds. The recovery will be very slow. But during the last part of your speech, you spoke about technology. Technology supporting tourism, and that is, we would like Francesca Benati, as the General Director for Amadeus, to focus on. So, Francesca, how can technology help sustainable tourism? Dr. Benati, can you hear us? Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for the participation. So, I was born in Romagna, so I really care about this region. So I was very happy when you invited me. So the negative data has already been illustrated, but I am an optimist, so I would like to move the focus of the attention to a phenomenon that started growing a few years ago and was then interrupted by COVID. But I believe that this phenomenon will, namely the concept of sustainability, will increasingly influence the world of tourism. Now, when we speak about sustainable tourism, the tourism sector, once it has been able to emerge from the crisis, will play a fundamental role. We will not, well, the projections for 2030 say that almost, around 2 billion people will be traveling around the world in 2030. Now, we know that tourism represents 50% of global CO2 emissions and 4.6% of global climate change, and tourism also represents 11.6% of the global GDP. So this data requires considering. And there is also a growing number of travelers who are ever more interested in sustainability. When people buy trips, they look at sustainability as a fundamental factor, and a huge number of them is willing to pay more in order to reduce CO2 emissions. Now, interest in sustainable tourism aside, when we speak about sustainable tourism, about the concept, the very concept of sustainable tourism, the mind goes to smart tourist technologies, which is basically a series of technologies in the field of tourism that contribute to enhancing the commercial strength of regions. Now, there are three fundamental elements which contribute to the sustainability of trips. The first element is the choices of consumers. We want consumers to have access to transparent feeds and information in order to make informed decisions. The availability of information has increased due to COVID, and technology is very helpful. The second point is fair competition, so transparency when it comes to common rules regarding offers, tourist offers. And the third factor is data and technologies. Now, why is the use of data important? Data is important to define goals, whether it be increasing the number of incoming tourists or the quality of incoming tourists. There are technological platforms that help uh, that are really helpful when it comes to understanding what the value that each type of traveler brings. And this data can be used to analyze over tourism issues. So that this data can be used in order to understand when a certain destination will overflow with people, for instance. And it can be used to attract travelers in the best possible way. Now, the more data is used and the more data is available, the more destinations can be accessible and reachable. There are four fundamental fields in which smart tourism technologies can help. So we've just mentioned attraction, so choosing the right, trying to satisfy the needs of tourists and offering them the best travel package. And then there is also the issue of touch points. Now, in Italy we always speak about hospitality, but we always forget the last mile, namely what is required to attract foreign tourists. People know how to reach Rome or Venice, but if we keep highlighting the beauty of secondary destinations, then international tourism will be enhanced. Now, these destinations are often not visible, so that's the problem. The third point is links, and the ability to link private and public infrastructures, and this can benefit from data and technology. And last but not least, the service part. So, understanding the profiling of users in order to increase the attractiveness of destinations. So, yeah, the decrease in air travel has led companies to review their policies. But looking to the future, I believe there is time to use these technologies and data in order to improve the attractiveness of our destinations. Yes, this has been very, very interesting. Now, we were looking also at a slide on ideal trips, and so this is very interesting. Now, when it comes to digital innovation, I would like to move on to the next question, which I would like to ask to Francesco Tapinassi, who deals with technological and digital innovations at the support of tourism. So this is a very important issue. How can we assess the impact of sustainability in tourism? Is it possible? How can it be done? Mr. Tabinas. Thank you for inviting me. The question is very interesting. We have tried to address it during our last event because we still believe that it is a very interesting topic. We dedicated our last edition to the Long Life Manifesto, which is a wonderful document. Now the question was, how can I link a hyper-technological area with man in a sector such as tourism, which Mrs. Rossi was saying, which is based on experience. And how can all of this can be combined with the idea of sustainability, which is another very interesting topic? The concept of a technology at the service of the improvement of services and satisfaction can focus on three pillars. So domotics, which can simplify a lot of things. Digital technology is a very powerful tool for simplification. We must not mix digital innovation with innovation per se. But there is one thing that is worth remembering, and that is simplicity. Frictionless, the fact that things need to be frictionless. So when we build the user experience of somebody else, we need it to be frictionless. And this is very important. So things are changing very quickly. The world is changing very quickly. I'm sorry, but we are experiencing technical problems. Now, based on your wishes, that card keeps track of the water you're using. So this can be very useful. And so the ability to understand how green I am enables me to customize everything, including the typical services that are provided in hotel rooms. Then there is also the theme of data. So this has to do with the so-called smart strategy. Now, when it comes to this, I believe that studies and analysis are very useful, especially when it comes to tourism, sustainability. But there's another thing we should do. We should think of how to implement existing instruments, footprint calculators dedicated to tourism. And we need these instruments to give us very clear data. But not only when it comes to a means of transport. Now, Trenitalia, if you remember, tells us the amount of CO2 we have saved by traveling by train compared to traveling by car, for instance. But here, we should understand the actual footprint of tourism and the actual impact footprint of an entire holiday. We should also understand what impact can our actions have just by changing, for instance, the means of transport. No, this idea was launched during a call for ideas in terms of innovation, and it could prove useful provided we find indicators that are easy to read and can provide us with immediate results that could become one of the primary elements when it comes to choosing where to spend a holiday. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Topinassi. You have provided us with a lot of food for thought. Now, I would like to go back to Tom Paul, and since we were speaking about digitization, we were speaking about human experiences and the human element in tourism, which is very important when it comes to choices. And as a journalist in the tourism sector, has your role changed? Has the current situation, and is it to evolve and cater to different needs?
I think that the thing is to recognize that there is always a role for human instincts in terms of presenting solutions to the needs of travelers. That said, it would be clearly a great opportunity to use things like travel trends, online traffic, and other data to understand and present travel options around sustainable travel and other travel to our audience, both in print and digital. And indeed, Lonely Planet seeks to do that. We use tools like SimilarWeb and NewsWhip alongside these instincts of our fast-paced online editorial and news operation. This operation, this group of people, this group of editors is very different to the way in which a travel publisher would have operated traditionally. It needs to move very fast, and it needs to look at what the demands are and the opportunities are within travel content on a minute-by-minute basis, whereas before you may well have published a guidebook to a particular place and then left it alone for possibly even years. Social media obviously plays a key role in this, but it's also very important to recognize that each social media network is different. Facebook is different to Twitter, to Instagram, etc. And each have different approaches, messages, and content needs. So you also quickly become a publisher that not only seeks to speak to different audiences in different ways, but produces different content for different platforms, and very different to traditional content. Could you go to the next slide, please? I can speak while it goes up. Just to give you an example, we have some of our best performing features here. If you look at the picture in the bottom right about a man who traveled to Peru and got that all by himself, that's very much a news human interest story from someone who is not traveling. The picture in the top left, a state-by-state guide to travel restrictions in the US, that is far more of a response to someone who is planning travel domestically within America, and indeed the story about travelers booking long-term stays in US cities would be about speaking to an emerging demographic, the digital nomads who may be thinking about traveling to somewhere for 3 months, 6 months, possibly even longer. The next slide, please. I can do it. Aha. So to speak a little more about different audiences and the same goal, Lonely Planet is a global brand, so we don't just speak to one particular audience. You know, we speak to travelers who may be in as diverse locations as China, you know, Europe, the United States, you know, emerging markets all over the world. We understand that our audience's perception of issues like sustainable travel is not consistent, and it can vary very much the type of information that people are looking for and what they are prepared to really engage closely with. In order to make the best solutions, we work closely with local experts and tourism organisations to ensure we are in step with the expectations of our audience. So we are increasingly following a different model to traditional travel writing research, and we see markets like China, Taiwan, and Oceania, Australia and New Zealand, that are comparatively fast recovering after COVID, as really giving key opportunities for us and for other you know, other travel content providers. I wanted to just on the next slide quickly just talk about the different guidebook partners that we have. 13 international partners who publish in their native languages. To talk just a little about the response to COVID and what we have done. Before COVID, we drove traffic to around about 15 million unique users a month. During COVID, we actually reduced our editorial team and we reduced our commissioning while producing relevant content and still publishing around about 250 news and feature articles a month. So we were very keen to stay visible throughout a period where maybe when we know people were traveling less, but they were still very keen to get some information. During the COVID crisis, we have pivoted and focused on specific content streams driving traffic as far as possible. So our aim has been very much to get traffic coming through to our website. So we've done some new things that we wouldn't have done before, thinking about people traveling from home, looking at world food, destination drinks, virtual vacations, outdoor content aimed at inspiring for when people can travel, and weekend breaks. We have at this time narrowed our focus somewhat to focus on English language markets with relevant content for domestic travel. There are a few examples of that on the next slide and what that looks like. You will see that the photography that we are using and the way in which we are approaching it is much more about presenting a lifestyle around a love for the world and all the things that we're currently not necessarily as connected to, and maybe attempting to discover them in a new way. That said, and this is the final slide on this topic, I will go on to the next one after, is that the Lonely Planet's mission is to provide information alongside inspiration. So our travel life cycle addresses the challenge of clear presentation of information alongside inspirational content. We seek to meet the needs of travelers at every stage of their journey, whether they are dreaming about traveling, whether they're actually planning and booking, whether they're actually going on the road, or whether they are back again. And we understand at the moment most people cannot travel. Many want to as soon as it's safe to do so, and when the time comes, we'll need reliable information. And we do this by presenting topical, eye-catching features for when readers are at the top of that discovery funnel, that discovery journey, while also making clear the depth of content that we have available for destination planning. If I may, I will just talk briefly about what this new era really means for us at Lonely Planet, which is slide 12. So the world's biggest destinations were already on a journey before COVID-19 hit. I like to say that COVID hasn't actually done new things to the world. It has accelerated existing things. It has made things that are already present go faster. So sustainable and regenerative travel options were increasingly demanded by travelers. We saw this very clearly in terms of the requests that were coming through and what was popular with our audience. The expectation is that is presented as the norm. Rather than have travel writers coming in from other parts of the world, influence coming in from other parts of the world, a focus on local contributors. So people who are in a destination as being the best possible guides and the best possible people to know how to present their communities and tell their stories. Following on from that, a focus on community tourism in all its many forms and diversity of experience. So tours and generally travel experiences that are really focused on local communities. Another very important part, and awareness of the need to disperse tourism, so not to have large groups of tourists in one particular location, often using technology. All of those things, I think, will continue to move much faster in this new era that we're in. So we have some fresh solutions for that. We have domestic, overland, and low impact tourism at the heart of this new offering. A recognition of the value of diversity of contributors, and voices telling their own stories in communities. Tourism restarting with the input of communities right from the start, and technology really feeding into that. The use of pre-booking mobile phone applications and websites for big attractions, and also crowd capacity applications telling people when there are large numbers of people in a particular place. I think this is very important when people are first returning to destinations. The role of publishers in that, I think there are 5 things really that publishers should be doing, and certainly that Lonely Planet is trying to do. We want to advocate for the traveller. We want to be on the side of the traveller. The second is to understand and meet new needs around health, transport, and insurance. We want to be nimble, be fast moving. So we want to work to have local contributors who can update information quickly on reopenings, new procedures, and on the ground conditions for travellers. The fourth thing is we want to give platforms to new voices and recognise change makers in tourism. And the fifth is to build better connections with tourism organisations and other organisations to help with the creation and the sharing of critical information. So that's really where we are and where we see our role in all of this. Thank you, Sylvia.
Great. Well, while it is true that the situation is stagnant when it comes to trips, the data tells us that the exchange of information online is very high, and so this means that people are ready to start traveling again. People are already dreaming about future trips. And so they look for information in this regard, both in order to discover new destinations and to find information on the current situation. So, Mrs. Rossi, now I have a question for you. You have already spoken about data on the future of tourist flows, but the question is, since you are the marketing director of Enit, what is Enit doing? What promotion policies is implementing when it comes to Italian tourism?
Mi pare condiviso da tutti i relatori questo
Well,
valore
first and
della
foremost,
partecipazione ai lavori per il futuro.
I agree with what our previous
Delle
speakers have said.
programmazioni nei nostri documenti
We
strategici,
share the
quindi il
values
tema della
that they share,
sostenibilità
and indeed those values are already
l'atteggiamento
part
responsabile,
of our documents, our
l'inclusione
shared
a tutti gli
documents,
effetti dell'accessibilità che
together
siamo
with
posizionati.
sustainability,
Oggi
accessibility, and
dobbiamo
inclusion.
concretizzare di più e abbiamo il tempo di farlo. Tutto questo
And now we have a possibility
porterà
of doing something concrete about it.
ad andare avanti, e quindi con questo nuovo elemento che è quello del safe and seamless, quindi della sicurezza che attraversa un po' le nostre esperienze, che sta in questo momento all'attenzione diciamo, di tutti i possibili futuri viaggiatori.
Sorry, we are experiencing technical problems.
Iniziato già quest'anno a lavorare molto più
Now, Enid has started working on studies. So, again, knowledge, intelligence. Knowledge is fundamental and it can be guided through all instruments. And these instruments are very useful. And we can obtain very interesting data from the travel community.
Formazione importante perché abbiamo il tempo di farla, abbiamo il tempo tutti di approfondire
Now we have the time to draw upon new themes in order to be start when we'll be able to restart, start regrowing when it is necessary and when it is possible. So that is why we have been developing programs with an academy developed together with operators and the entire sector. Dr. Pinassi was speaking about it. So this is not only a matter of culture and supply chain. So I believe that a lot of work is required. Now, when it comes to marketing, we will keep developing campaigns from March onwards. We have been focusing on great Italian cities, and we have bought spaces on international newspapers, and we're also working on a project dedicating to Dante's Ways, because this story is really interesting because it also thrives on the interest for outdoor activities that people have been showing. Now, I spoke about large cities. Now, while we are looking at the territory with new eyes and we want to establish new relationships between the center and the suburbs, I believe that we need to link city centers, which before COVID around 50% of tourist flows, to the suburbs. So we need to combine all of this with remote working activities and so on. So we will also have to focus on reference areas. So we need to understand the evolution of the possibilities of traveling, the traveling possibilities that we'll have in the next years. And in this regard, we have developed various initiatives, such as that with Nutella, which has a QR code that leads you into a 3D world that enables you to experience things through virtual reality. And there will be very similar initiatives in the future for us to be able to focus on the values that should be part of our very fabric, not only from a tourist standpoint, but also from a social standpoint.
Credo che ci sia un ritorno.
Sì,
Oh, no,
è proprio così.
I believe, yes, I believe that the audio is a bit delayed. So I apologize for this break, but I was waiting for the second voice to disappear. So thank you very much for your speech, Mrs. Rossi, for your messages, for your positive messages.
Sì.
Grazie a voi. Grazie a voi.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I wish you proceedings every success. Thank you. We have stopped working. And we can now focus on activities and relationships in order to seize the new opportunities that will be available when we can start working again at full speed.
Certo. E dunque, a questo punto, sempre con questo ritorno,
Now,
io ridò la
despite
parola
the
alla
delay,
dottoressa
we
Benatti,
can
che in
give the
qualche
floor
modo
back
ci
to Mrs. Benatti,
un po' il tema della prossima sessione, che si focalizzerà
introduce
sulle smart
the
cities,
topic of the
quindi
next
rimanendo sempre nel
session,
suo
which will
ambito,
focus
che è
on smart
quello
cities.
della tecnologia
So we will
e del
speak
turismo
about
online.
technology
In che
and
modo
online
la
tourism.
tecnologia supporta
How
lo
can
sviluppo
technology
delle smart
support
cities?
the development of smart
Io le
cities?
chiedo, dottoressa, di parlare lentamente,
Ms.
anche
Benatti would
per
like to
agevolare
ask
il
you to
lavoro
speak slowly,
delle
also
traduzioni
for our
in
translators to
diretta,
be
che
able
un po' hanno questo
to
strano problema di
translate
audio.
what she's saying, also for this due to this strange audio problem. Yeah, thank you for telling me because I used to speak very fast. But don't worry for the next speakers because I will not speak for too long. Now, I deal with smart cities on a daily basis, but now I would like to focus on the use of smart technologies and how these technologies can help the mobilization of people. Now, there is a very interesting case, namely that of Thailand, which in 2019, due to over-tourism, had to close the very famous Maya Bay, which was the bay where a famous film with Leonardo DiCaprio was shot. The closing of tourist destinations for the management of a huge number of tourism cannot be an option. So when it comes to smart cities, this problem can be solved. Smart cities can play a role in the improvement of the travel experience of the hundreds of millions of tourists who use our services on a yearly basis. So we can make the trips of people and travels of people really unforgettable. So we have been working with a series of governmental and non-governmental bodies. Now, I have mentioned Thailand, but I will no longer mention it because I will move on to more topical situations. We have been working on 4 fundamental areas. The first one is the mobilization of passengers, which is a problem that we also have in Italy. Hopefully, we will have the same problem in the near future. The capacity of airports is not endless, and the idea of improving inbound flows will improve the mobilization of passengers. And that is where technology plays a fundamental role. Witness the check-in phase or the delivery of baggage. Carrying out these features through the cloud can really help airports manage visitors better, and the services can be calibrated based on the flow of the demand, which would have a huge impact when it comes to costs. Now, automation is also an important factor. These are all areas in which
rispondere a diverse esigenze.
when using this kind of technology, different needs can be catered to
la limitazione di quelle che sono
both when it comes to the mobilization of
fisici,
tourists, but also
l'utilizzo delle tecnologie biometriche. Immaginatevi un utilizzo massivo di soluzioni biometriche che consentono ai passeggeri
and there are also biometric solutions that enable passengers to log in through a selfie. There are, and since their morphological features are already on the website, another very important thing is intermodality, which is means of transport are very important for tourism, and technology can really help avoid the overlapping of means of transport, and it can lead to a decrease in CO2 emissions.
Tutte quelle connessioni senza soluzione di continuità che possano anche favorire quello che è lo sviluppo delle destinazioni secondarie. Oppure i collegamenti che possano far fluire molto meglio tutto un aspetto di mobilità per quanto attiene al percorso su strada.
This would improve the mobility of people when it comes to transport, whether it be by plane, by car, and so forth. But technology can also be used to accelerate growth in secondary tourism. A lot of secondary destinations have a series of infrastructures that could become very competitive for the finding of alternative solutions if there were the possibility of having two point-to-point connections. But imagine being at the hotel and being able to check in your luggage before you go to the airport. The third area would be the usefulness of data to minimize the impact of tourism. Now, the limitation to the number of tourists is not the solution, and use of real data and the use of predictive models could help tourism bodies and municipalities, but also the business that revolves around hospitality to better manage high season periods.
Quello che manca è la capacità di interconnetterli in una maniera che restituiscano delle informazioni. E ultimo, ma non da ultimo, ovviamente è una
last but not least,
miglioramento di quello che è la partnership tra
is the improvement of the partnership between the public and the private sector.
Non solo mi riferisco a servizi di sharing mobility che non possono esistere.
I'm not only speaking about shared mobility projects, but also we could improve services that aren't currently successful, but they could be made more competitive in the near future. Now, these are the 4 areas which could really benefit from technology. So this is the way technology can improve smart great beauty. Yours are very interesting ideas, and hopefully our viewers can really cherish them and build upon them in order to find new solutions. And if your viewers have any interesting ideas, they can feel free to email us at us. Now, before moving on to the last question, I would like to remind our viewers that they can ask questions on these platforms and social networks. Of course, the event is very long, and so we will write down all the questions that we receive. We will ask them to our interlocutors, and we will answer you by email or in any other available means. Now, I would like to move on to the last question, which is to Mr. Tapinassi. Mr. Tapinassi, we have spoken about sustainability and the problems that we...
La domanda è: in che modo si può comunicare la sostenibilità nel turismo? Quindi sia da un punto di vista degli operatori che delle destinazioni.
Sì, intanto mi permetto solo di dire una cosa, ho sentito con grande attenzione la dottoressa Benati, sono talmente d'accordo che lo stiamo facendo, nel senso che sto generando l'osservatorio turistico digitale in Regione Toscana. L'obiettivo non è solo quello di dare strumenti alla governance pubblica e privata per diciamo, scelte consapevoli, ma io penso che soprattutto noi dovremmo pensare al benessere dei nostri visitatori. Io quando sento parlare di overtourism sento sempre raccontare i problemi della città, nessuno si sofferma su che orrende esperienze siamo in grado di generare se non informiamo correttamente, perché la maggior parte dei problemi dell'overtourism sono legati alla non gestione, non ai flussi, e di quanto sarebbe molto meglio una città intelligente che sia in grado di raccontarci e di farci vivere meglio la visita. Tengo conto che su questo il Covid ha degli effetti straordinari. Pensi a quelle banali app salta coda per i supermercati che mi auguro possano essere estesi evitando le code assolutamente inutili a tutti i monumenti e musei italiani, consentendo di recuperare tempo prezioso per una visita più bella e più memorabile. Detto questo, tornando al tema della comunicazione, sì, mi sono occupato per un po' di anni di comunicazione di sostenibilità nel turismo, facendo un po' di analisi di ricerche a livello globale rispetto a delle buone pratiche. Devo dire che mai come adesso tornano alcune parole che abbiamo sentito in qualche maniera già prima: trasparenza, autenticità, rilevanza, un tema su cui Google insiste molto. Io credo che la prima cosa che dovremmo fare, sia come destinazioni che come strutture ricettive, sia pensare molto bene a che cosa vogliamo raccontare, sapendo che intanto in Italia questo concetto di sostenibilità è legato solo alla sostenibilità ambientale, cosa che invece in altri paesi non è, nel senso che è una visione molto più ampia, riguarda la responsabilità sociale, quindi riguarda qualcosa di molto più complesso del solo riduttore di flusso o della lampadina a basso consumo. La seconda cosa è di porre attenzione a chi parliamo, perché se raccontiamo a un tedesco che facciamo la raccolta differenziata è più o meno come dire a un italiano che nella camera da letto c'è il letto, insomma, cioè non è che diamo dei valori proprio particolarmente rilevanti. Quindi attenzione alle sensibilità. Noi facemmo qualche anno fa proprio in Maremma una bellissima ricerca, un trivago con la community sul concetto di sostenibilità percepito dagli utenti, scoprendo differenze enormi tra la Danimarca e la Grecia, tra paesi del nord Europa e del sud Europa, dove questi argomenti sono trattati con modalità molto diverse. Quindi un primo tema è questo: molta attenzione a cosa si dice e a chi vogliamo parlare, e soprattutto massima serietà nella comunicazione. Orrendo è sentir dire noi facciamo una politica ambientale, dopo di ciò il 90% delle azioni che mette in campo la struttura non sono ambientali, ma soprattutto, cosa ormai tradizionale, scarico sull'ospite la responsabilità della sostenibilità, quindi gli chiedo se non vuole farsi lavare gli asciugamani, non cambiarsi i letti, pulire la camera. Ecco, questo tipo di atteggiamento non regge più.
Well, this type of approach is long ago. I need to be sure of the fact that there is such a where I am the current sound good, make good choices, and then I also contribute with my choices. And you know, for instance, the fact of wasting water resources is a very pressing matter. But this said, the web helps communication, and there are very examples of operators that implemented very good policy.
Abbiamo portato appunto in un bel panel di BTO lo spreco alimentare, un tema che riguarda la sostenibilità ambientale.
And
Ormai
we
molti
can
giorni
also
abbiamo
mention
ristoranti che hanno deciso
the wasting of food, and there are restaurants that
praticamente
are being able not
cibo
to
serrato nei buffet della colazione
waste
dei grandi
any
alberghi, che invece
food.
viene riutilizzato in
For
maniera
instance,
più
breakfasts in
corretta.
large hotels
Ultima
used
cosa,
to go
che
to
mi
waste
permetto di dire
at
è
least
che
a large
dobbiamo
portion of
portarli
them.
anche nelle
And there is one
destinazioni
last
a
thing I
più
would like to say.
sostenibilità, perché
We
noi abbiamo
should
un po'
be
come
careful
dire,
when it
la
comes to
banalizzazione di
destinations.
dire è sostenibile tutto quello, per esempio, che è meno frequentato. Non è esattamente così.
Not all the destinations that are less frequented are more sustainable. And I believe that the impact that COVID has had on destinations has been very negative because it has diverted the attention from over-tourism. But to Florence, of course, nobody is there now. The problem is that Florence and Adelaide are never full of tourists. It depends on the season. But the problem of over-tourism concerns smaller municipalities rather than larger ones. And there are many destinations that are very popular during the summer, for instance. But, trivializing things, saying that villages, small villages are beautiful, and saying trivial things like, such as these will lead a huge number of tourists to go there, then the village will suffer from the tourism. So, the promotion needs to be carried out with care. That is the revolution lies. That is where the public administration needs to change, because we're moving on from advertising to the good tourist office. So I don't believe in the building of systems, and I don't believe in the financial persuasion. So I don't believe in moral persuasion and financial persuasion either.
Penso invece, sono ottimista sulla digital persuasion. Io credo che noi abbiamo del web, della rete, una visione troppo limitata, perché
We have a understanding of the web is too limited. It is an instrument that can be used to reach a huge number of people, but the web was created to create links and is paramount in tourism, especially in a system such as Italy, which is characterized by click and individuality. In Italy, everybody walks alone, and people think they are sustainable just because they have painted the whole another color. So I believe that COVID has highlighted all the complexities of the Italian office system, and I believe that this country deserves better, especially in terms of governance. I hope that events such as this, with the attention that has been sky tweeted, will be a very important step.
Facendo capire che insomma il turismo non è una conversazione da bar, è un
grande
sistema di imprese, è un grande motore economico.
Tourism is a huge and that requires a lot of dynamism and professionalism. Things must be done well. Not everything is sustainable. This is not the way that credibility is achieved.
Beh, dottor Tapinassi, io direi che mi sembra una
Mr.
conclusione
Tapinassi.
straordinaria. Dalla comunicazione siamo arrivati a una vera e propria pungolatura su alcune best practice che dovremmo mettere in campo.
have many interesting best practices, and hopefully there will be will be do better. So thank you to all of our speakers. This session has been very interesting, and they can lead something that is very no pandemic can help us think in a better way, and there's new opportunity. So now to leave the floor to new video. The following session, the last video, we have a young Daniele dealing with technologies and digital instruments in a modern Ravenna, but in the next video there will be a female protagonist. And we like to imagine her as a modern Beatrice who will who visits a modern city. So enjoy the rest of the proceedings.
Hello again. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all back to the second and final session of this event. This session is entitled Being a Capital, Smart Technologies for Tourism and the Experience of the City. Now, for all the change that we have seen in tourism and we will continue to see, city breaks and visits to cities generally remain as very key drivers of tourism and growth. So how cities present and organize themselves to stand out is a key driver of the choice of destination by travelers. The European Capital of Smart Tourism initiative seeks to recognize cities that excel in doing this. This project celebrates outstanding achievements by European cities as tourism destinations in 4 categories: sustainability, accessibility, digitalization, as well as cultural heritage and creativity. This EU initiative aims to start to promote smart tourism in the EU, to network and strengthen destinations, and to exchange of best practices. So to tell us more about their city and the journeys they've been on, I would like to welcome speakers who, in a format similar to the last, will each make 2 presentations. These speakers are all representing destinations that have either are European Capitals of Smart Tourism for 2020 or have been so in 2019 or have been nominated to do so. So I will introduce our 4 panelists, and then I will invite the first one to speak. So we have Helena Lindqvist, who is a project manager for the European Capital of Smart Tourism 2020 for Gothenburg & Co. in Sweden. From Finland is Jenny Taipale, the Director for Partnerships and Development for Helsinki Marketing. So Helsinki was the 2019 Capital of Smart Tourism. I'm very pleased to welcome Mark Sanderson, who is the International Economic Development Director and the lead on the European Capital of Smart Tourism at the city of Malaga. So Malaga, the 2020 of Smart Tourism. And Maria Grazia Marini, who is a Director of the Tourism Department at the municipality of Ravenna, a shortlisted city for the European Capital of Smart Tourism. And Maria Grazia will tell us why Ravenna is a capital city later. But first, I would like to welcome Helena Lindqvist, who is going to tell us about Gothenburg, one of the European capitals of smart tourism, and talk about how it's moved from smart to smarter. Over to you, Helena.
Thank you, Tom. My name is Helena Lindqvist, and I would like to welcome you all to Gothenburg and Sweden. Gothenburg received the award European Capital of Smart Tourism for 2020. And this year I am managing the Gothenburg program as European Capital, an award that we share with Malaga. In addition to the main designation, Gothenburg also received a prize in the sustainability category. We are really honored and proud. Gothenburg is located in the heart of Scandinavia and on the west coast of Sweden, and it's easy to get there. From Stockholm, Oslo and Copenhagen, it will take you approximately 3 hours by train. And we can see that more and more people are interested in traveling by train to Sweden, and we welcome greater accessibility. Normally, you can fly to Gothenburg from 60 direct destinations, and we are connected to all major European hubs. But as we all know, the flight map is now redesigned this year, and we hope to be able to welcome our international guests back to us soon again. The city of Gothenburg holds approximately 600,000 residents, and the region more than 1 million. And if I would have held this presentation for you earlier this spring, before the COVID crisis, this would have been the figures that I would have presented regarding guest nights per year, passengers at Landvetter Airport and the number of cruise passengers, and also the visitors to the amusement park. But we all know that nothing is as it used to be this particular year. But we can see that our prospering city and with high quality of life attracts both people and talent. Gothenburg is a green metropolis and have beautiful park areas and wilderness in the middle of the city. And it's only a short tram ride away from the beautiful archipelago. The last 10 years, Gothenburg have implemented a sustainability strategy for the destination. The work has been successful, and Gothenburg have received a lot of attention and awards for the achievements. For example, Gothenburg is the world's most sustainable destination according to the Global Destination Sustainability Index for 4 years in a row now. And last week, we could also reveal the exciting news that Gothenburg have being awarded the best sustainable city stay for 2021 by Lonely Planet. An important part of the Gothenburg sustainability work will be to further integrate the Sustainable Development Goals and to enable industry action, showing how tourism and the hospitality industry can contribute to the SDGs. And last week, Gothenburg and company where I work, we launched an international website called 101sustainableids.com. On the website, we have collected 101 global sustainable IDs, and they are all connected to the SDGs. And on the website, you can nominate new IDs, and you can also share inspiration with others. I would like to present some of the examples and to show the variety of collaboration that made up our application for the European Capital of Smart Tourism. We have the electric buses. Approximately 95% of all public transport in Gothenburg is run by renewable energy. We have a project called Team Gothenburg, where it is the city pools for young event volunteers. And here, young people from all parts of Gothenburg are participating, and over 40 languages are spoken in the group. The city has also developed an accessibility app, which enables for people with functional variation to take part in events and meetings. The Liseberg Amusement Park is not only one of Scandinavia's largest tourist magnets, it's also an important workplace for young people. And the theme park is also at the forefront when it comes to sustainability. For example, the entire park is run by 100% wind power. And earlier this year, the amusement park also presented a digital keying, and we hope to be able to use it when the park opens again. In Gothenburg, meetings and events are catalysts for change, and we have the music festival Way Out West. Received a lot of attention, first to become a meat-free and also then a milk-free festival. And we have the Gothenburg Culture Festival. And that project aims to be a disposal-free event by 2021. For example, by installing tap water and offering a discount to the visitors who bring their own lunch boxes instead of putting the food in disposal containers. They have succeeded in reducing the burden on the environment. In Gothenburg, we have also initiated a digital destination data platform to develop the work with open data within the destination. Collaboration is really important for us in Gothenburg, and it's brought us where we are today. And Gothenburg has become a dense hub for collaboration between businesses, municipality, and academia. We hope to be able to contribute to a sustainable tourism and hospitality industry nationally and in Europe and internationally, globally. And Gothenburg's role as a sustainable destination, we hope to inspire other destinations, while we also can learn from others when it comes to other challenges that we are facing. Our vision is that Gothenburg will be even more sustainable and more accessible, and that we can offer more reasons to visit, and that digital collaborations will be tools and natural parts of increasing the visitor experiences. If we succeed in creating a city that is good for the citizens in Gothenburg and for the business community in general, then we think it will be exciting also for the visitors to come to Gothenburg. I would like to thank you all for listening, and once again, I would like to welcome you to Gothenburg when the time is right again. Thank you.
Thank you, Helena. That's very interesting. I'm going to keep us moving and move on to the next speaker. So I'm working alphabetically through the list of city destinations, and so the next speaker is from Helsinki, Finland. Is Jenny Taipale, and she's going to tell us about the journey that he's been on since 2019. So welcome, Jenny.
Thank you, Tom, and good evening to you all. Thank you for the kind invitation to this event. I am really excited to be part of it. As Tom said, today I will tell you what the legacy of the European Capital of Smart Tourism has been for us in Helsinki. So Helsinki was awarded with the European Capital of Smart Tourism 2019 title as the first city together with Lyon. The capital title was given to the cities that excelled in all of the 4 categories: digitalization, sustainability, accessibility, culture, and creativity. Helsinki's focus, the activity plan for the year, was to concentrate in strengthening the leadership in smart tourism development. For many years, we have been creating digital services, opening data, building accessible experiences, and developing sustainable tourism. And more importantly, we didn't want the work to stop there in the Smart Tourism year. Our focus still lies in smart tourism and especially on digitalization and sustainability. And I will present this to you through a few case examples. So Helsinki is open for everyone. So is the data. Already since 2009, Helsinki has provided public city data for everyone to use freely. Why, you might ask? Because the open data gives software developers possibilities to come up with new and innovative applications, especially for benefit of the visitors and companies serving them. So Helsinki offers over 600 datasets that include information about events, services, and even the air quality. Also, our collaboration with the Chinese internet service giant Tencent to develop a WeChat My Helsinki mini program was based on our open data and My Helsinki Open API. Helsinki can be considered a pioneer in the utilization of open data and our virtual twin. Virtual Helsinki was based on an open 3D model, and Helsinki is the first city in the world to have the 3D city models available and open. These models have been used in urban planning, but they also can be explored destinations, archipelago, and other places that may not be otherwise accessible. So for destinations wanting to create new experiences, using virtual reality is not just a necessary tool, but it also should be integrated in the overall development of a destination. Still in the very core of our digital marketing is the myhelsinki.fi digital service. And the site itself consists of locally produced content and of more than 150 local guides giving genuine recommendations. All of its content is based on a good life in Helsinki. So best tips for both locals and visitors, talents and investors. Paid brand endorsements, partnerships or sponsored content, and about 90% of the users would recommend the service to a friend. Under myhelsinki.fi, you can also find our latest addition to the digital services, Think Sustainably. So Helsinki is committed to promoting a more sustainable way of life for everyone. The Think Sustainably service helps to choose more sustainable ways of living in Helsinki and enjoying the city. The base of the service is in tailor-made criteria that we developed together with an independent think tank called Demos Helsinki, and along with local interest groups and sustainability experts. One of the objectives of the service is to encourage companies to more sustainable actions in their operations. Currently, we have 120 businesses and service providers like restaurants, shops, events, and accommodation in the service. And according to our impact study, 90% of the participants have taken concrete actions towards sustainability, encouraged by this criteria. We also developed the Sustainable Influencer Program with the criteria that addresses the areas of influencer cooperation, like traveling preferences, food, social responsibility, and products. There is a tool for both self-evaluation for influencers and a tool for us at Helsinki Marketing to determine if the influencers match the Helsinki brand and how we manage our influencer marketing planning, executing, and measuring. Our sustainable meeting guidelines were developed to help B2B event organizers and meeting planners make more sustainable choices. We have defined key criteria and indicators in order to measure and develop the sustainability of events. It measures both impacts on the environment, like waste creation and carbon emissions, as well as social impacts like education, networking, and knowledge sharing. Helsinki is an unbeatable cultural destination and next year a home of Helsinki Biennial, an international art event that will bring outstanding contemporary art to Maritime Helsinki. Helsinki Biennial will present around 35 international artists or groups of artists from both Finland and around the world. And it will utilize the virtual Helsinki to offer an accessible experience for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny, and some absolutely wonderful images there as well. As to dream a little bit of travelling somewhere on a winter's day here. So following on from that, I'm going to bring in Mark Sanderson, who is International Economic Development Director and the lead on the European Capital of Smart Tourism in the city of Malaga in Spain, which, as we've heard, alongside Gothenburg, is the 2020 European Capital of Smart Tourism. Mark is going to talk to us about Malaga as a smart capital. So, Mark, please, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Tom. It's good afternoon to everyone, or close to good evening. Warm greetings from sunny Malaga to all those participating in this digital event, focusing on smart tourism and some of the global challenges that we're facing today. I want to thank the organizers, Sarah and the city of Ravenna, for inviting us to participate along with Helsinki and Gothenburg and themselves. It's a pleasure for me to be here today representing the mayor of Malaga and to have the opportunity to share with you all a little bit about our city and what we're doing when it comes to smart tourism. For those of you who don't know, Malaga is the sixth largest city in Spain. When it comes to population, we have approximately 570,000 inhabitants and a metropolitan population of close to 1.1 million people. It's obviously situated here on the Mediterranean Sea, so it enjoys one of the best climates in Europe. We have beaches, mountains, landscapes, of course, delicious cuisine, Mediterranean cuisine. Extending along the coast, of course, you'll find golf courses, more than 50 golf courses, and sailing marinas, and in the nearby Sierra Nevada mountains, we even have a ski station. So tourism is obviously an important industry, an economic leader for this region. It's an important transportation hub, and also a high-tech center, which I can explain more. Next slide, please. As the gateway to the Costa del Sol and to Andalusia, Malaga has a very modern transportation infrastructure. We have international flights to more than 137 destinations in 31 different countries, and we received last year around 20 million passengers. Our port is very active when it comes to import and exports, but we have also cruise ships that are arriving constantly. Of course, this year that industry is on pause, but we usually have around 280, almost 300 cruise ships a year, and 500,000 passengers arriving by cruise ship. We also have the high-speed train, which connects us to the rest of Spain, to Madrid in 2.5 hours, which is fantastic when it comes to logistics and to getting people and tourists here to our lovely city. But Malaga is not only the gateway; it's also become a destination. This began to change really in the year 2000 when the city started to renovate its historic center and add new pedestrian spaces, as well as museums, celebrating obviously the life of Pablo Picasso, our famous artist who was born here, having a museum in his birthplace dedicated for his work. But we've added museums from France, from Pompidou. We've also added the Russian Art Museum, Automobile Museum, etc. So we have a tremendous cultural offering now and a reason for people to visit our city. This translated into a very exponential growth that we saw in the city when it comes to people really visiting the city. So instead of being just the gateway, Malaga became a popular European destination, and we saw the number of hotels, the number of people visiting and staying in the city increase rapidly. And this was important for our city, but it also was important for us to be able to handle that growth and that increase. And one of the ways we did that was through innovative technologies. We're fortunate that Malaga is located also in this area that is called Malaga Valley. This innovative ecosystem is a place that provides not only the technology park for Malaga Valley, which has over 600 technology companies there. We have business incubators and that support startups and their ideas. The University of Malaga has a very strong tourism as well, and also engineering and telecommunications. And finally, in this Malaga Valley ecosystem, we also have a digital content hub. This is a space, a building with over 9,000 square meters, really dedicated to digital content, to training people who want to work with animation, augmented reality, and other video content, which we know is so important these days in many industries, and especially in tourism. So we're very fortunate to have that facility here, and has been very beneficial in developing augmented reality solutions that we see. In the next slide, you can see one of those solutions that was created for our bus system, which uses augmented reality to identify the nearest locations for the bus stations and gives you information quickly and rapidly about when the buses arrive to that location. So as we say, Malaga is a popular tourist destination. It has lots of cultural heritage, but it's also a technology hub. We're using that technology to innovate and to improve the quality of life for the citizens and obviously the visitor experience for our tourists. We're very fortunate to be recognized by the European Union this year, along with Gothenburg, with the award for the European Capital of Smart Tourism. This has been a tremendous award for us, especially being able to share best practices, to participate in events like this one today, and to learn from everyone else how they're dealing with the pandemic, which I will go into more detail after the break. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. It's a fantastic overview of Malaga and the changes that we've seen in Malaga as a destination, and we look forward to hearing more shortly. I'm going to move on to Maria Grazia Marini, the Director of the Tourism Department at the Municipality of Ravenna. Maria Grazia is going to tell us a little more about Ravenna and indeed, hopefully, why it is a capital city. So I'll pass over to you for that, please.
Ravenna was the capital in a distant future. It was the last capital of the Western Roman Empire, and over the centuries, it has preserved extraordinary mosaics, which are recognized by the world as World Heritage. It was the Italian capital of culture in 2015, and last year was among the finalists for the European capitals for smart tourism. Now, we are the capital of mosaics, and we are the focus of the celebrations of the focus on Dante, who died in Ravenna. Now, Ravenna is now not only the city where Dante died, it is the city where he lived, surrounded by friends and intellectuals. It is the city where he wrote many of his masterpieces. Now, we like to imagine that his vision of the celestial world was inspired by a palace that is indeed in Ravenna. And future, although many future projects will take Ravenna, the city has many resources and many points of attraction for tourists. Now, our strategy in a period such as this is communicating, creating networks, and designing projects. And thanks to the collaboration of many operators. However, we do not want to forget our own identity. And now we are a city of hospitality and a city of experiences. So I will tell you about the projects that we have been developing.
Il primo progetto è dedicato a Dante e alla realtà virtuale. Si tratta della produzione di un film in 2D e in 3D.
So we have decided to produce a film both in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions, inspired by Dante's Divina Commedia, Divine Comedy.
Si chiama La Divina Commedia Virtuale, il viaggio con gli occhi di Dante.
So the name of the project is the Virtual Divine Comedy.
Che ha luogo a seguito di un percorso formativo che già è stato.
And this is a film that has been produced at the end of the training program that was seen, and a series of. And this film has been produced by the students of this training course.
È un processo narrativo di storytelling immersivo. La realtà virtuale diventa quindi una nuova modalità di esperienza delle immagini. Perché dovete sapere che sono veramente poche le opere dedicate a Dante ed alla sua commedia, le opere cinematografiche. Agli albori del cinema, e ormai sono passati più di 100 anni, sono passati 110 anni circa, ci si è cimentati con la raffigurazione di personaggi, immagini, momenti, ambientazioni del poema dantesco. E oggi saranno di nuovo le visioni di Dante a ispirare l'utilizzo della nuova tecnologia, ovvero della realtà virtuale applicata alle visioni della commedia. Si utilizzeranno immagini a 360 gradi per rappresentare queste che vedete passare nelle slide, sono immagini di più di un secolo fa, e quindi quella che era una tecnologia innovativa allora diventerà domani, grazie a questo progetto, la tecnologia di oggi per parlare sempre delle visioni di Dante. Si rappresenterà quindi, dicevo, con immagini a 360 gradi il patrimonio iconografico creato dalla commedia. Ci saranno 6 episodi di circa 10 minuti ciascuno. La regia è di Alessandro Parrello, che cura anche la sceneggiatura insieme a Clemente Meucci, con la supervisione del dantista Alessandro Cavallaro. La produzione è curata da West 46 Films in associazione con ETT e il sostegno del Comune di Ravenna. Dante quindi sarà protagonista di realtà virtuale integrata con una rielaborazione grafica in digitale. Ecco, e questo è quello che ci aspetta per i prossimi mesi. Un secondo progetto invece di cui vorrei parlarvi è un progetto dedicato all'ispirazione, ed è un progetto che mi fa piacere ricordare, nasce in Finlandia ad opera di un giovane artista italiano. Enrico Mazzone è in Finlandia e riceve in dono un rotolo di carta lungo 97 metri e alto 4 da una cartiera di Rauma nel sud della Finlandia nel 2015. Enrico inizia a disegnare su questo enorme rotolo di carta, che pesa ben, pensate, 120 kg senza anima, tutta la commedia. Viene sostenuto dal comune di Rauma per oltre 4 anni, poi rientra in Italia. In Italia trova ospitalità e patronage al mercato coperto, una bellissima struttura di Ravenna recentemente ristrutturata e riaperta al pubblico, e sta ormai per completare il suo lavoro.
And
Verso gli ultimi canti del
it
paradiso,
is about to complete its work.
per disegnare tutta la sua clinica. Il laboratorio aperto
A lot of people buy it through the entire comedy, Divine Comedy. Now, the space was provided by an association which has worked to find collaborators, and this drawing will be digitalized as well. So I would like to show you a video showing how digitization and inspiration can coexist. Then we'll let you move on with the other speakers.
Cinque anni fa sono atterrato a Rauma, che è un paesino nella costa sud-occidentale della Finlandia. Mi sono, per così dire, prodigato nell'arco di 5 anni, costantemente, lavorando giorno dopo giorno. Quello che oggigiorno nella realtà quotidiana compare come Divina Commedia completata al 95%.
Il fatto che sia un'opera così materica, che però con questo progetto viene digitalizzata, ancora di più unisce elementi di antico e elementi di assoluta modernità.
Thank you very much. Amazing, amazing video, amazing work taking place there. So we are talking obviously at the end of 2020. It has been an incredible year and very much dominated by the pandemic that has had such an impact on travel across Europe. Our cities will have had to respond and put plans in place for what comes next. I'm sure it will be of great interest to everybody listening to hear more about how they see 2021 taking shape for them. So I'm going to Helena Lindqvist from Gothenburg & Co, who can tell us a little more about that city's response to the pandemic.
Could you please repeat the question once again, please?
Sure. I'm just going to ask if you could talk us through the city's response to the pandemic.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Thank you so much. I would like to present persons per table are allowed, and there will be no alcohol serving after 10 o'clock in the evening. We can proceed in the presentation. In Gothenburg, we have focused on 3 main strategies. For us, it has been really important to be close to our industry and to increase knowledge and to offer insights and facts and figures and to present it to the stakeholders and to our partners. We have also put a lot of efforts into national and international networks and collaborations. During this year, we have adapted the communications and our target groups. We have a close dialogue with authorities, and we have invested a lot in partner support. And as many other destinations, we also have a strong focus on different kind of digitalization projects. And next slide, please. When it comes to communication, we have redirected our communication to a local and regional and national target group. Earlier this spring in April, we launched a local campaign called Support Your Locals. And during the summer period, we launched a local and regional campaign called Experience Your Gothenburg, where we invited the citizens of Gothenburg to recommend their favorite places to visit in the destination. We have also collaborated with a number of other Swedish destination management organizations regarding a national campaign called Explore Sweden. And next image, please. Regarding the communication campaigns and in the autumn, we have launched a campaign autumn in October. We are now presenting a Christmas campaign for the initiatives in those campaigns are outdoor activities. For example, during these Christmas initiatives, we are presenting an outdoor light artwork walk with spectacular international light artworks and installations. As a DMO, we have focused on a lot of providing statistics and analysis. And we are using Power BI tools. So each week on our corporate website, we will be able to present new figures for our stakeholders and for the industry. And we have also focused a lot regarding producing and collecting industry-related reconnaissance. And we have also shared this, of course, with our partners. The next slide. And as we all have been aware of, the digitalization development has been really rapid during this year and due to the COVID-19. In Gothenburg, we have invited stakeholders and partners to several workshops during this year and focusing on the need of the digitalization in the tourism industry. And we combine that with inviting participants from the IT sector to be able to use their competence regarding these questions. In Gothenburg, we have also developed a digital destination data platform focusing on open data, and we are developing new methods for hybrid meetings and events, and we're also exploring ways to display our destination in a digital way regarding digital site visits. And this year, there have been a general focus on offering online experiences from Gothenburg for future visitors. And next slide, please. Some final reflections from Gothenburg. For us, the focus on safety and security and health and distance is the most crucial, the most important thing. And we also have realized the importance of reciprocity of localism. We also need to focus on new and adapted reasons to travel. And as mentioned earlier, the digitalization and the data development really both expected development in a faster pace than expected, but also new innovation connected to the COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide. As a DMO, we must ensure smart and sustainable solutions in the new normal. And it's important for us to be close to our partners and to help and enable and to show direction. And as a DMO, we need to have both a short, a medium, and long-term perspective simultaneously. I would like to thank you all again for listening, and I would like to thank the organization in Ravenna for inviting us from Gothenburg to participate in this fantastic conference. And welcome back to Gothenburg when possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Helena. You know, as I think we said in the previous session, what we're going to do with all of the questions and comments that are coming through on our social channels is we will collect them, we will ask participants to put together replies, and we will come back to you in the interests of the time that the session is going for at the moment. So with that in mind, I'll come back to Jenny Taipale at Helsinki Marketing to tell us some more about future plans for Helsinki, Finland. Thank you. Is Jenny there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
yes, now we have the picture as well.
Welcome back, Jenny.
Thank you, Tom. Yes. As we all even too well know, the COVID-19 crisis has had a strong impact on tourism and event industry. That's also affecting our work at Helsinki Marketing. We reacted immediately to these exceptional circumstances by adapting our functions to the crisis and reorganizing our operations for the future. Our strengths, agility, and flexibility have enabled us to renew our operations quickly. Helsinki Marketing strategy and priorities were renewed to coincide with the current situation as well as the future challenges. Our role changed during this crisis, and we mapped different possibilities for the future. We believe that Helsinki offers many of these things people will be looking for in a place to visit, live, or work, which are space, stability, and sustainability. We can happily state that the emphasis on our activities has been relevant also before, during, and after the crisis. We still have two cross-cutting points in our actions: digital innovations and sustainability. Investing even more in these both will be necessary after the crisis. The City of Helsinki continues to invest heavily in its climate work and is working hard towards becoming carbon neutral by 2035. So I will tell you now how our path has been towards the new normal. So our actions during the crisis were to support the locals. Next slide, please. Due to the isolation caused by the COVID-19, it became crucial to build connections and to raise positive spirit among people. This is why we wanted to better the communication with our clients, our partners, stakeholders, and locals. During the spring, we focused our communication strongly towards the locals. The My Helsinki website supported the City of Helsinki's crisis communication, and its role was especially aimed to build a sense of community and to lift spirits. Next slide, please. Then we set to identify and seize the opportunities in digital and innovations. This new situation offered new opportunities to increase people's awareness about Helsinki. And just to name a few, we developed a new concept for virtual meetings called the Helsinki Method for Meetings and Events, which we gladly offer for your use as well. We strongly believe that sharing our best practice is the way for better, and this has been and will continue to be a core value for Helsinki. More information on Helsinki Method you can find on meethelsinki.fi. We took our virtual Helsinki platform to use as we look towards the future of online events. One example of this was Helsinki's virtual May Day, a concept that was created to support people's celebration of May Day at home by offering one-of-a-kind virtual concert free of charge. Around 25% of the Finns took part, and even bigger visibility was gained through international media interest. This so-called Vappu at Home virtual event was just awarded by the City Nation Place Awards for the best citizen engagement. Next slide, please. So the future is here, and what are the conditions for the future growth? We know that there is no going back, so we have systematically started to prepare for the future and to analyze conditions for the future growth. We focus on creating new growth sustainably and developing our operations responsibly. We are actively monitoring the development of the situation in the tourism industry and are developing a market analysis of the current situation. We need to have a clear vision of our future markets when the borders will be fully opened and people are able to travel. Currently, we are analyzing the themes highlighted in the future for congresses and event sales. For example, the themes of security, sustainability, and virtuality will certainly become increasingly important selling points. We have also started to work to outline a better picture of what the future will be for the tourism event industry. What will, for example, happen to the international visitors in general, and what is the role of the city marketing companies? Our partners and external experts will be in a key role participating and helping us to anticipate the future. Finland has survived the pandemic relatively well so far, but we can't yet have visitors coming to Helsinki due to the very tight restrictions in traveling to Finland. But we need to keep our end of the world in people's minds, so we have just launched a new campaign in form of a mini documentary series. So I'd like to show you a teaser, and please stay tuned for the coming episodes at myhelsinki.fi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you for that overview into the response of Helsinki. The phrase "there is no going back" was very striking for me. I'm sure we all feel the same as we look to the future, hopefully with some optimism for 2021. With that in mind, and possibly to bring the theme a little bit more back towards technology and its use in innovation and tourism, I'd like to bring Mark back in from Malaga to tell us some more about the use of technology in the development of Malaga as a tourism destination and the information.
Great. Thank you, Tom, very much for the opportunity to talk a little bit more about what we're doing in response to COVID here in Malaga. Obviously, the tourism sector was affected across Europe and Spain, and of course here in Malaga, it was devastating. Health and safety are obviously the #1 priorities, which we keep in mind as we try to obviously help our hospitality sector, which is such a vital sector for our city. The first, when all this took place, this past spring, the first thing we wanted to do, of course, was to understand the impact of the situation. We wanted to make sure we had open communication with the tourism sector, with the companies. We utilized our tourism forum, which has been around for more than 15 years. We reached out to them, listened to how they were being affected by the pandemic, and also wanted to hear their ideas as well to how to move forward. The city itself was focusing on designing a recovery plan, an overall recovery plan for the city, and tourism, of course, one of the major pillars of that recovery plan. And so the mayor has been involved from the very beginning at this recovery. The other ways that we responded were through training. So our local training and facility also provided specific courses on the protocols and measures important for obviously the hotel sector, for the restaurants, giving them official and correct advice about how to move forward. And those training courses were provided by the city of Malaga. We also created a campaign, Malaga Safe for You, and a website and a portal to communicate to the visitors that Malaga was doing everything it could to stay safe. We also proposed alternative routes, alternative destinations within the city, to the beach, or maybe to the mountains around Malaga. So communication was key, and training for the sector. The next slide, please. The other thing we did very quickly was to create a challenge, a tourism challenge, and this sort of hackathon or challenge had over 300 proposals, great ideas that allowed us to start thinking about what the recovery would look like. The winners, we had 2 winners, an iSmart guide and a co-living application as well, which we're continuing to work with them and develop those solutions. One of the things we learned from the challenge was obviously the importance of sharing data, open data. So if we see in the next slide, Malaga is a leader when it comes to open data sets. We have more than 900 data sets available for individuals and companies to use to create useful applications for the tourist. So if we go to the next slide, we can see a direct example of that. This summer, we had problems with overcrowding on the beaches where people could not maintain social distancing. And so the University of Malaga and the city worked together to create an application that utilizes open data that could predict the capacity throughout the day of the different beaches and provide information to tourists and to citizens to know when they could visit or not visit a beach. It also uses artificial intelligence to help in those predictions. And it was a very successful application that we developed this summer, and obviously a great example of how to use data in a positive way. In the next slide, you can see other things we did, which was around hybrid events, which obviously other destinations are doing as well. We had several events this autumn, including a film festival, a European Smart Agri-Food event. And these events took place in a hybrid format, people participating both in person but also online. And they were all very successful events, and I think demonstrate that when done properly and following protocols, you can have these events. And the last thing we did from a city perspective was rapid tested. We purchased the antigen rapid tests, and at these hybrid events, we use the testing that take 15 minutes in order to give people the confidence that they could attend an event and be safe within that event. We use these tests not only for the events, but also for the hospitality sector in general, including the hotels and restaurants who would like to participate and take tests. So again, this was a great example and demonstration of how rapid testing can help create safe destinations. So thank you very much. That's a quick and brief overview of how we're responding and using technology to respond to the pandemic. Obviously, as we move forward, it'll be important to continue listening to the sector and understand their needs. And there'll be adaptations that we have to respond to quickly. And we look forward to the challenges and are very thankful to be able to participate in events like this where we share ideas and best practices. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Wonderful to hear of some of those initiatives that are going on that I think will become increasingly standardized around events in particular. So we've heard from Spain, we've heard from Finland, we've heard from Sweden, and it feels appropriate that our last speaker brings us back to Ravenna, the home of this event, and back to Maria Grazia. And I'm hoping that that you can tell us some more about inspiration and really, I think, happier and more inspiring reasons to travel and to things to look forward to. After all, one of the reasons why we're talking about this this event is Dante and the development of the Vida Dante walk, which is one of the things that flags up and it's best in travel. So perhaps I might just start by asking you to tell us a little bit more about what you see as the relationship between inspiration and real experiences when it comes to bringing people to a destination and how they then enjoy themselves while they're there.
Well, thank you. Thank you for explaining the relationship between digitization and experience, because digitization is an instrument, but it is experience which still lies at the heart of any other element. We think that digitization and technology digitization can be a source of creativity and new experiences, but these new technologies need inspiration. And it needs to be transformed into something that is entirely different. I will try and explain myself by making a couple of examples. We have been following a couple projects here in Ravenna. The first one is a project we launched in September, and this project is an auditory and immersive tour that enables you to walk around the places of Ravenna that have seen Dante or preserved his memory by use of a technology that is normally used by silent discos. So this technology that enables people to dance without disturbing people around you has been transformed into a technology that enables Dante to speak. Now, unfortunately, it has suspended, but we will be able to walk around Ravenna while listening to Dante's voice. We will be able to listen to the things that inspired him while he was alive. Now I would like to show you a video that shows some of the places that are featured in the silent play for Dante.
Ecco, come vi dicevo, al momento queste visite purtroppo sono sospese, ma appena sarà possibile
As I told you, tours have been suspended, but we will restart doing tours soon because we want the work of Dante to be heard, and it is a really unique and moving experience. Now, there is another project that I'd like to tell you about. It is and first-hand experience, and it is a tour mapping program focusing on our UNESCO monuments. These monuments are able to enhance what is inside the monument. Those who don't know Ravenna, Ravenna has Byzantine walls made of simple bricks, whereas on the inside this monument, these monuments, there are several mosaics, wonderful mosaics. We have mapped all UNESCO monuments. We will show you a few of the UNESCO monuments. We will show you the San Vitale Basilica. And the art of mosaic is still a source of inspiration for many people. Since events cannot be organized this winter, we have decided to transfer this experience on QR codes that will be available at the monument, near the monument. So we have invented a new instrument to make up the fact that we cannot see these things together as used to be done before the pandemic. So I will let you see the video, and I invite you to come to Ravenna as soon as possible to walk together with Dante and find your personal inspiration. Thank you. Thank you for providing us with so much food for thought, and thank you for giving us a lot of ideas our speakers and our viewers to plan the next edition of the After Festival. So I've written down a lot of things, and but I don't want to waste your time. We have seen that all the cities that have shared their experience have spoken about the technology that can be used to enhance the experience of our guests. But of course, we should believe from a careful analysis. We should start from a careful analysis of data, and data can be used to make better choices and embark upon better paths. And of these paths can be aimed at improving destinations. And this experience will be increasingly seamless and security oriented. All of this will have to lead to the enhancement of territories and to best manage their organization, trying to avoid a chaotic experience over tourism peaks that can involve not only the destination in and of itself, but also the monuments, specific sites of monuments. So what we must be able to do with this data is create a user experience that is more connected with the single needs of consumers. That's motivating our proposal with respect to different sources that are listening to us, and both by focusing on an experience that can begin online on our smartphones, and then must find an implementation in the real world, in the offline world, as in the last example that we have seen when it comes to the mapping of UNESCO sites. So we've spoken about data management platforms, we've spoken about user experiences, we've spoken about the design of tourism experience. Why do I say design? Because we should take care not only of the beauty of our past, but also of their functionality. So we are to make their experience linear and able to move our guests. So I would like to show you one last video, which is just the conclusive video, and I would like to remind you that after will take place in Ravenna. Hopefully we will be able to be there in person in March or April of next year. Goodbye everyone.
Abbiamo finito.